fan loolu xaalis boobu am na fu bari fu mu xecc gis nañ ne nag ñun dañ jàngat ne ñi amuñ yërmande ci doomi réew bi parce que boo jëlee fanweeri million wala dem jàkkaarloo béykat yi te yaa ngi jëndee sa gerte seen gerte gi ci nu leen neexee yow yaa leen di jox price
ka banko je ko loi kolon ani loi kurun min yalan ko nge konnu jan sanyi mo anin fula hansa ibe exist kan nyimban ko kan mi ya sab hansa abe banku dun kada kan nenda jere kaje ko wole bo madama wole mambo gamben ko be continuer le katalanin system ko no
November 7th protest for the return of the 2020 draft constitution. We petitioned the National Assembly and the Minister of Justice.
We pray now
maa ngi rafetlu di nuyu di gërëm suma kilifa yi nga xam ne ñoom laa fi toogal mooy suma naataango yi commencé ko ci Mr Diagne ak Pate di national coordinator and then the secretary general Celestine Kujabi man Sidi Cham di chairman di nuyu vice chairperson bi di nuyu di PRO Lamin Bojang ak Njanko di assistant secretary Dudu Ndaw mooy suñu technical advisor bi ñu ngi koy gërëm di rafetlu seen teewaay fii ñëw nag pour wax mbirum réew bi soo gisee ñu toog fii ni tey mbirum réew bi moo ñu fi boole te mooy li nga xam ne ñun coalition of progressive Gambian fañ tàmbalee ak engagement si nga xam ne yooyu lañ def ak fi ñu toll ak fi ñuy jublu ak réew bi fi nga xam ne foofu la tollu tey ci yooyu lañ bëgg a wax waaye nag dinaa jël kàddu bi jox suñ secrétaire général mu read press release bi su boobaa ñëpp di dégg ci moom suñ paree ñun ñëpp ku ci nekk wax ci olof man naa wax ci olof Lamin Bojang dina wax ci Mandinka Paate mu ngi fii nii dina wax ci Pulaar kon ma jël mic bi jox ko suñ secrétaire général.
Take as to what we've done, we've achieved, and what is at stake as far as our country is concerned. And as we said, we apologize for the late beginning, and maybe it's not crowded, but we are not interested in the crowd. What we are interested is the information to go. We want Gambians to know what our stance is as far as the situations are concerned. So I want to welcome you all for coming and attending, and I thank you for your attendance. And I would like to acknowledge the presence of all the press. I know GTV is here, The Point, I think The Voice, King FM, I think are all here. First and foremost, I want to share some background information about the Coalition of Progressive Gambians. As we all know, it's a pressure group, but its objectives and activities since inception and the current engagements is always for the best interest of the Gambian people and the Gambia. As you may know, that a pressure group helps to shape public opinion, improve governance or governance quality, provide checks and balances through accountability, probity, and the respect for the rule of law. The Coalition of Progressive Gambians, registered as a pressure group in the Gambia since 2022, has its vision to ensure that aspiring public servants are held to account by the people home and abroad. We put equal rights and opportunities, diversity and inclusion, tolerance and social justice as the themes of our discussion. Our mission is to empower the people to enjoy their full rights, exercise them with fairness and discipline. The primary objective of the CPG is to create an environment in which the voiceless are heard, raising awareness of the people for a peaceful coexistence that ensures politicians are held to account on their promises when elected into public office, fighting corruption and injustice, and putting Gambia first. As we always say, power to the people. The COPG is very vigilant that pressure groups can be misused as tools for political interests and gains that may result to violence or unconstitutional means against any government. However, we strongly believe that pressure groups should have autonomy in existence, consistent and stable, committed and only loyal to the political system that takes seriously the general welfare of the public or the people. Our mission cannot be centered on selfish interests of a particular group, ethnicity, race, religion, or political affiliation. Rather, we're talking of a broader socio-economic concern, or these are the concerns we always look for. We exist due to the increasing demands and needs for the scarce resources and the inadequacies of the political system. The COPG pays attention to the political, economic, social, technical, legal and environmental needs and desires of the public and act as a bridge between the government and the communities in the Gambia and the diaspora. As we advocate for the rights and freedom of the people and act as an alternative source of advice for the government, we represent the voice of the ordinary people with expertise in relevant areas for the right information and action plan for the improvement of our country or our dear motherland. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a summary of our activities since our coming into existence in 2023. But let me start off the recent one, and I think most of you must have witnessed our November 7th protest for the return of the 2020 draft constitution. We petitioned the National Assembly and the Minister of Justice. The organization further engaged the National Assembly Committee on Constitutional Matters and Human Rights, pending a critical review, compromise and convergence on the promulgation of the 2020 draft constitution. In March 2024, we summoned the government about the unconstitutionality of the Commission of Inquiry Amendment 2023 that gives pardon to banned offenders in public offices and the code of conduct or their code of conduct. This case is pending in the court, and it must be known that yesterday we had a sitting. Unfortunately, it's still in the process and we cannot talk about it as of now. Throughout the year 2023, we engaged on Sunday discussions and analysis on the draft Constitution 2020 in comparison with the existing 1997 Constitution of the Gambia in local languages for civic education in expectation of a change to a third republic. We also have some 9-point demands in 2022 that we are predominantly about to address the economic and social issues facing the people. The government, through the Supreme Islamic Council, engaged the COPG, or the Coalition of Progressive Gambians, and asked to postpone the planned protest that was scheduled to take place on the 11th of November 2022. We engaged with Ministries of Trade, Ministries of Justice, and other departments of the state and signed an MOU with an agreement to do a joint press conference, but none of the promises were met to date. We lost communication with all parties involved in the negotiation after the acknowledgement of the MOJ, that is the Minister of Justice. As a result of this, the COPG protested on the 17th of June 2023 at Westfield, and I hope some of you must have heard about it. Anyway, as of now, let me just highlight some of our the points of concern that we are really engaged on and want to see government doing something. Because the COPG believe that we are at a crucial moment leading up to what is to be a critical year for action in 2026. a year which requires decisive action in the selection of a government that can work with these concerns, a government that can put Gambia first. We must focus minds and generate action that benefits the masses. It's time for reviewed decisions that delivers for real people in real time with real and credible results. The current slow pace of the socio-economic development in our country is a matter of deep concern. The current government have been in office for 8 years. The prices of goods and services remain high, while salaries are still stagnant or very low to conform to the daily rise of the prices of commodities. Unemployment rate is over 40%. Health and education, poor and still struggling. The recent budget estimate of 2025 is exorbitantly designed despite a 7 billion debt payment in 2024, which is expected to rise to 11 billion in 2025. Fiscal indiscipline remains a concern as corruption is a disease in our system. The recent financial audit reports were not strengthened by the government as per their mandate, but ridiculed by the President Barrow, and calling it options and mere, what I would call, as we all heard, those are mere opinions, which we cannot accept, is unacceptable. Section 2021, subsection 15, 1997 Constitution, mandated the President to meet the people at least twice a year to review and evaluate the governing policies that impact the lives of the people. However, it is rather misused for political gatherings, to attack and discriminate political opponents, and encourage tribalism by marginalizing certain tribes. We've all heard it. These annual activities budgeted 30 million for 2024 and estimated in the 2025 budget to be 45 million, with an absolute power for the Minister of Finance to via any budget line where it's deemed necessary or fit without parliamentary approval. Human rights violations are not stopping. We went through a dark period of this, and we promise, as Gambians say, never again. It is a grave concern to continue to see police throwing tear gas, grenades to peaceful protesters at the University of the Gambia recently. We've had some remarks against political leaders or opposition leaders by the President. We've seen the continuous ignoring of the laws or of the order of the courts by his government. We want our leaders to show they understand the gravity of these issues, as well as the benefits of acting now. We want them to publicly commit to dealing with these problems once and for all. We want them to accelerate progress towards a fair, tolerant, effective, comprehensive, and scientifically ambitious development strategies. The international political, economic, and financial crisis should not be an excuse for poor governance. Effective government will mitigate circumstances and embed events in layers of time. We are still not out of the deep woods, and this crisis is layered upon the food crisis and the pandemic crisis, but the answer is to be innovative and use our God-gifted resources for food sufficient feeding and economic growth. To make the right policy responses, we must take a bottom-up approach. We must know what is happening on the ground. If we collect data, analyze, design, monitor, and evaluate in real time with the people, we shall learn and see a great improvement. It is difficult because we don't yet have all the information we need. The President is deliberately giving wrong advice by opportunists, and impressions that do not reflect the needs and problems of the Gambian people. Politics has become the order of the day. It's a daily prayer on our radio station and our TVs. May I emphasize that the COPG is a natural partner, an objective contender, an objective partner to any development, to any group of concerned Gambians whose mission and vision is in line with our objectives. Do not hesitate to reach out to us, as unity is our strength. Finally, I am sure with strong commitment and leadership, we will make this country a great success, and I count on your support and cooperation. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much.
Be tendu ka be jay drong molmi ila wato bula kana ma be nyilungo to lungmi ya lonko a wulta min kamma ka fo nyimimu the coalition of progressive Gambia press conference min commandi na office to min be kolol sade kon jang follow drong kal tendu kal jay surtout nyin ka fo dingol di executive body anin media household min nata pour kaji ko kibaro mi ya lon ko nyin ka fo ya so do banko dingol ya bayri nyin ka fo meta fo lan ko ilota banko lo ko kam ka banko lo ko to banko be tala nyin ka fo no wo na de ke bi nga atol kibar safela kumandi na jang pour kana nim banko dingol ka ja ko la kabiru lota kana to ko bila na simfal minta animbe kare ko min fanan ke kan banko nyin kan jang pour jama salon bayri jama ma long nyin ka fo ibe karikol min ke kan bare nin kibar bundal nata ya kibarol janjandi dobato kuma be futale jamala le o kamala akumata bake bi ara mesolungo ngal kuma nawo dayilo la kana ma be nyin press conference nyin to jang kal tendu kal jay alla ma be la nyin conference to jang akata nyi kondan batal to jonel so folo dron coming na able secretary ya fo nyamen dron nga kuma ko min sabe lata min tala nim banko dum tema nyin ka fo a register nim banko e jang kabirin 2022 kana to ko bila be kada ko ke kan dum be do ko ke kan dum a lota min kama wala ndiko ka banko dum ka fu nyokan banko dum min yalon ko be kan fanko man nyi banko dum la kan ka fu ndi nyokan banko nyin na ko la mi mu gambeti bay nga janne so ko ko nim bakel nga gambetam minni ibaje lambe kanal nyin ka folo to wala kamma anim fanan ka bankunu ka janyo yandi isaje be salon ko ngata dal so banko nyin na kodo bar fanan banko nyin ka molle ka place to o mol mi akon ke place to nke dalio min kamaje pour que kontibo na karfa fol min yalon ko kasken ka karfa jikoto ko ibata man ni wol nyam wala sa ko to fight against corruption and injustice wala ndiko tapaleya anin nakaro mi ya lon ko bankunu la nafulo kadunga kono mol karo la min ya lon ko place la karfari wolle la anin fanan tilimbala anin tajinta min mol ka samba nyokan kabri masakunda la karo la mo kunkil na da mal karo la man kaje ko wo insendabla no ko ya kadang anin fanan simfal min ya lon ko na to mondir mol ni be place nyin lambulu ikala hidol min tanye ila campaign promisol ngaaje ko ngemurundi wol kan kay tandila ko alle kuma ko wala fonye ay la hidol tanye jikoto wala hidol le kan ngal tombo on to hold them accountable on their campaign promises coming tantolier bari nimbe molkal place de kala hidol tanye wala hidol fana jikoto wala tan kekeje nyin ka fo lota kaje ko wose sotono nyamen nin wo moltema ka fo nara tar do ku jamaala nyimba ko kan jang mi yalon ko kabiri lota kanatu ko bila secretary ko dol fay wol kono ab wol kono kabiri nyin ka fo lota folo do sainte mbota minna nim banko sarto yala ni yamen ko min nim banko dule kuje banko kam mi ka ni silomanta ka fundi kala la bala tan di wala be ngaje janne mara kitabo mi yalon ko banko dungol nyini kata banko kan jang ani banko e bandala na fulo do pasta kunna min delsi million keme delsi million tan ani woro dunda kunna ngaje na mansa kunna mi ya lonko be sondal ko mana kitabo banko dungol le tam wala kada da wal kan wala nyende taraje nata je the draft of 2020 mi ya lonko wala the voice of the government people the mansa kunda wala the karala ye fasunta samane ka me the gazette draft of 2024 ñing ka fo anim banku din kendo min ko ñim banko la sini samo e sule e lafta bar kendo moda min kono no sanyi moni fula wakana fa muri na wala wakana so den banko kanjang ko ntol man son president Barrow na ma sekunda de gasara dafo 2024 min samana lafta banku dul kangol la banku dul ta mi mo dafo 2020 di waya sabu nada fundi kan na saferoke kata police la bunda kam min ka pamito di banku dingol la pour ye fundi yela laf bala tandi nata protesto ke min bentan november karo mboro min koro atiri worawla na safero ke na laf bala ko la fana ngodi national assembly anin attorney general kan na petition o submit wolia nyin ka fo wosin falta nin murum ta ko ma domandi nyin ka fo kabla lota nga kumandiro ke no banko kanyang kombe fundi la ka balamba ya ke banko kanyang mimmu november 11 protest min 2022 kafo nata kacha soto wala kacha nato dun ning bundal tema min sumi islamic council ya nyato kaya ni peace network fo aya sabu kacha dun dan masa kunda tema net point kono don ka medi 9 point demand min ya lonko ngola landi ning kafo be tama ka wala kabin 2022 lota kala ko bila mi ya lonko min bo 9 point so kon ay banko bele mur ay banko bele sulako abdi am ka wala subi islamika sunnata kaja nyoya ke ni masakunda tema lahidol kanko nga no proteso sembendi masakunda ben no sula ko jaralale wom engagement no dolti mi ko nyika fo ya soto bane nata kaja ke ni masakunda tema kesema na bo jabata jikoto ko ntolnga wuli min kam mi asa nga proteso nyilandi masakunda be kamati malla woman na ke aya sabu nada bankudol ko man ko alna fundi na ngana proteso nyimmi na min sembendi lahido kanko masakunda ye lahido min ta ko be kamati man le moti mandi alna fundi na ngake bar mi ye gamben ko la ko bal fawara non ko gamben go handa bage kata on social media ka diabo ba na ta banko la intosol alna nga fundi ka kuke jama min ya kumandi walla ka fundi anin dantan be kasi ntol nga ndabula ku jama to nyimba ko kanja mimu banko dum la sulot bari bi gamben ko be fele ba fo kan tarifo na tarifo adasi asertale mole kumandiro ke nyin ka fo ya mute fe fundita banko do be sirin koma engagement jama mi ya longo nyin ka fo ya asiata bare min kumata be wondi ko nyin ka fo be lorin banko la ko wala fo banko do wala wala gamben ko nyen dalo ko tolle ka mol ka place fo nge konti bo o konti bo ro nyin ka fo be lorin wala pour que ko so marage doron du ko so progrès gambe nata kaje ko timbale ani tajirintiya anin ka corruption o mi ya lonko anyin banko samba ko mando aba continue kan tarnandi pour kaje ko wosi danno nyame anin sa kelno nyame be ka furu nyoma bayri na fulo min ka fo nka min fo ko nyinne be kere nyimandal kere wala na fulo pasar nka min moy iteta lon teta do falanta ikoita ila banko ko na banko do falanta la banko dun tol min be ka fo na gambia kilenti ye min balanta banko di mbela banko di yalla banko ka oto na fulo anin na mol mi ako ngeke place wala be kuta mani kan kam mi yalo anislo manda woni de banko dul be kunto dinoti kaje ko wosata wala sabu ko so progress gambia kabri man kidabo fundita the draft of 2020 na kenda kunto nodi dimanche wo dimanche na platform to kanin 1997 compare kajibe 1997 minefo man kidabo the draft of 2020 mi banko dul kawti way minefo pour wobe ka kemin kam wala diko ka banko dul fahamiyandi bayri banko dul ka ko nanyanto I know my right dama hom suma right si de kabi mais wo banko kam yela right lo mindo mine bo mara kitabo kon imalo ni asa asa kuma ya punga banko no kachandi banko no sensitize ni asa the cause of progress gambe every Sunday nka the draft of 2020 and in 1997 nke samana nke abondi mole nyoto 1997 ni asa bu nga kong the draft of 2020 lafta ni asa bu dipteli ya fay banda nyawnya lafta ay murunna bayri wala banko no sembendol wala batna mana kendo ngami kondo nya sanyi moni fula ay sabati ay lo ni asa the cause of progress gambia kabrin di kasade draft of 2024 funda nko we say no to that because that is not the voice of the government people. Bayri ngajel ko the draft of 1997 ni diale dunde je mi yalon ko atata fo signata lulu person jamme ya kaminga walantu asantol soful no nyama asan kada no nyame pour atasa marano nyame asame non kan nyame nin nataje nim milibe woko in 2016 wali was involved the kasada draft for 2024 kaje ko murundina abe wolkono the immunity of the president mi yalon ko silanda babije. We keep on saying this. The immunity of the president in the President draft for 2024 is taking back Gambians to dictatorship. But the new president ko I somebody president ko isa kuwo ku kenola ila time of office ni jita tanatela as a declaration by the state minister and the president iko ni bina in office yela asset or declare, but when you are leaving the office no need you can go with that at home wo among transparent and corruption embedded la bola su sabatin la banko kanjang nini asabu the council progressive Gambia strongly lottered to say no to the gazetted draft for 2024, and we will continue to say no to the gazetted draft for 2024 as long as the voice of the government people is the draft for 2020. Woku mata bagel, but mim bije left min press al mim mieta nyinka fola koto wala ndiko ntolota bankola kola kamma Gambia la kola wulindi na 9 points demand niya be killing jibe is talking about Gambia by the abol the implementation of the TRRC commission bol dol bi jela by the ngalongo after the change of government jammela wato commission on lot after the end of dictatorship pour que jibe roke aninka sude roke ko la mini ya lonko lanjuro lata mini kan ise wo lanjuro min lata kan mini ya le kan ise ne ya fundi ya diamu ye la ila barol fo anin fana mini nyanta kel. But hindsight, until medium can the implementation of the TRRC from Kaboma Secunda Caron. Ninka for Abena Point Koronto Kono. The Jana Commission, Naja Jane, don't say anything, Kiji on Akosima Secunda Kama, Kiji Moto, Mimbe Sujin, the ban Masakunda may lift on certain individuals, mini alogo Jana Commission, the tonne. When I sabu, the Council of Progressive Government, Tobe Simfa Full Betakan, by the Luako, Bango Marakaboko. You either go to the court or it's a fundika protest. Ntoli ni simfa fulobe Council Progressive Gambia ba ataka na kabili lota kana tukumbe bimi kon. So do kama don akata nje kontano akata akumada fanam the Council Progressive Gambia hansai na bunda be yelli modoli yele banku din doli yele kafu doli yele mini ya lonko ibe kamin volendo ko Gambia pour nga Gambia kendo so. Council Progressive Gambia bunda be yelli ne kaje ko ni wole do ko ke ni ngambulo du nyobulu the door is open. To every Gambian, me alako Nimbanko Sini Samuel Sula Kajeko, best Sula Kamina to hold our political leaders accountable, especially Mini Alonko, they are entrusted with Molla funds or Jamala. Naji Jane, meet the people store, whatever name Yemin fire, Naji Jane, Jelaba the first Kanje. But I've been benefiting the Deacon Bakudulla. By the Naji Jane, just few days ago, Member of Parliament Lotako, 2022. 6 million was budgeted, 25 million was spent, or 26 million was spent by the president. 2023, the same thing, an amount of 10 million, 68 million was spent. And it is so sad and disheartening. The member of parliament, the deputy, they are not holding the executive accountable on those mini alonko. It took a budget and then make an afundi. It's very sad. This is why Gambian call alingan Gambian call alinga wakili ngajeko. This country belongs to all. Mota falena, no one will come from the sky. Moti jila na santo to change the narrative for us as citizens. Woku mata bagel. But the Gambia abalafa wata ni moli wulta. Iko alna nga nyinke bankobe intereso kang mole borike kungwele, mole borike personal intereso le, politician borike kungwe ika bankudungole intereso le nikara. And Toleke put in position. So it's very sad. But mbe yamaro minde bankodungole wala ndiko. The Coalition of Progressive Gambia is here to stay. This is why nga official established. Ka make so go mini left bankola sini samola ni ye bulo du nyokoro ka yoko to hold our political leaders or our public officers accountable. Woku mata bagel. Alaba.
Inoni alhamdulillah atawano lady di moji. Hande komine no di ondo onon journalist Coalition of Progressive Gambians windo be sako be kibaruji. Komine no di ondo Fimin lebda e moɗon ko leydi ndi hono ndi yarra min no leɓo ɗo ko paade balɗe biyeteɓe mi woni national coordinator e on nani ko secretary général o haali sélection kujabi ko haali ko woni wondema e Coalition of Progressive Gambians ko kafum ganduɗa ɗi dari duuɓi ɗiɗi ɓaawo 2022 dari waɗama register no loi o haaliri ni kala ko loi o haari fi waɗa kafu Coalition of Progressive Gambia timmini ɗum waɗi a loi o kimin doole fi min gona kafu min lebda ɓiɓe leydi ɓe ko woni ko warugal mumen ko woni ko ligge mumen ko woni ko ñanta mumen ɓe keɓa ɗum e leydi leydi ndi Gambia enen fof ko Gambia poɗɗen wadde yeeso. Gambia enen fof ko Gambia dentuɗen. Nden kala ko moƴƴinta Gambia enen fof enen ɗum poti rentu ndaren ko hono Gambia yarata yeeso. Coalition of Progressive Gambians ko woni hammeji amen ko ɗum woni wiɗigol laamu ɗum. Wiɗira laamu ko ngannduɗaa laamu ɗum ko ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe mbaɗi toon laamu. So a nanii laamɗo tan o jamanu hannde ko ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe cuɓatama mbaɗama laamu njaha élection beddoɗon carte cuɓeɗa e nder yimɓe jama yimɓe hewɓe. En tant goto cuɓeɗa gokkeɗa sartaji ɗi ngannduɗaa ko ɗin poɗɗa ligor leydi ndi. Ɗin sartaji ɗi ballina yeeso maɗa ko ɗin sartaji waɗiya ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe guitti dépense ɓe ma gokka fino a wawa liggade ko poɗɗa ko liggade. Si tawi noon ɓe ɓiɓɓe leydi jeeyi ha ɓe jii ko kalanɗa ɗumen ko lahidiji gokkuɗa ɗumen ko promesse ji gokkuɗa ɗumen ko ɓe mbaɗa a waɗani ɗin promesse ji ɓe ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe jogui lawol ɓe gara ɓe lamdoma ko waɗi a yarani ko noon sartaji ɗiɗi ballinaɗi ɗini. Because enen fof eɗen gandi 2016 ko coalition laamu e ko sartaji ɓe ballino ɗin sartaji ko woni wondema commission ji mbaɗete en nanino ɗo jane commission fi ɓiɗita laamu gonno ɗum ɗo ɗum laamu Yaya Jammeh yakkuɓe jawdi ko wonno hen walla ñamɓe jawdi ɗi ngannduɗaa wona geɗal mumen ko jawdi yimɓe ɓe ñaami ɗin jawdi ɓen mbiɗite ɓen noon mbiɗitama woɓɓe ɓe luwa o holli wondema e potani liggade e nder laamu nguɗo laamu walla e duuɓi 10 walla woɓɓe ha kaddi gurdam. Kono en jii wondema e laamu Barrow ɗum ari ɓangi doole ɓe ɓangi ɓen ɓe dutti ɓen e ligge ko ɗum waɗi Coalition of Progressive Gambians naɓi ɓen ñawore naɓi laamu ɗum ñawore fi darde ɓe dari nde fi député ɓe on loi mbo ɓe cansi ɓe ɓangi doole mumen ɓe cansi on loi min naɓi ɗum ñawore nde ñawore noon fuɗɗima kono min mbawta lebde nde ñawore ɗo ko heewi en hankita e heccanki ha ñawore nde fuɗɗitima. Ko yawti ɗum kadi on jii Coalition of Progressive Gambians 2022 ɓe binduno ɗo wondema e paala hollirde ɓe mbaala guerew on guerew e dow jaam kono yimɓe woɓɓe Super Islamic Council hay kafuuli goɗɗi ɓe noddi ɗum men fi ɓe jewtuda e mumen fi hunde nde wawa ɓe mbawa ɗum tenkinde ɓe ndaara sartaji goɗɗi ɗin sartaji ɗi ɓe d'accorno fof ɓen wonnon goɗɗum ɓe jejiri ɓe mbaɗi ñakas ɗin sartaji fof woni wondema dal ɗin sartaji ɓe mbaɗaniɗi hay téléphone ala hakkude amen e mumen wonnon goɗɗum kamen ɓe jejirino ɗin sartaji te ko ɗum wanno amin ballini yimɓe kaali en ko heewi ko wanno amin ballini on protest kono minen ta minen gandi sartaji amen ɗi ko ɗum waɗi a ɓooyani ɗo kadi e nder lewru yawtuɗo ndu novembre balɗe mum jeeɗiɗi min punti min kolliri mette amen kadi min jeeyi ɗo min puɗɗori from Barrow ha National Assembly min mbaɗi toon min kolliri guerew kadi on guerew komin kolliri kelew min bindi pétition kayti min gokki sunu député ɓe ndu speaker o min gokki ɗum ngol kayrol fi sartaji ɗi min paalaɗi ɗi ngannduɗaa ko ɗum woni loi leydi o loi 2020 on woni draft mo ngannduɗaa ko on ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe fof miiro mumen wonnen te ko jawdi mumen wonnen ko yare million ji temedere million 16 ko ɗum waɗa e on loi so ko on loi min mbiyo on loi no ruttetoɗo surdibire ɓero surdiɓe ɓe ndaara on loi wona e loi because ko on loi woni konngol men te ko on loi woni moƴƴo e meɗen because min ndaari loi mo ngannduɗaa on ɗon ko on Barrow he law muɗum ɗum addi walla executive muɗum o 2024 draft si tawi on loi darima nden koɗo gonnoɗen ɗo dictétoya ko ɗum woni ko artata ko e nder leydi he because doole kewɗen mbo ɗum okka te ɗen doole si okkama ɗe ɗi wawi o nanga ɗen doole o lippira ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe ɗen doole ko ɗum waɗi amin mbi bo enen fof konngol meɗen ngol jawdi meɗen ndi ɗo ɗo wonɗo ko ɗum foti rutede minen kollira wondema si on daari hay ko wonɗo e kayti amen ɗo walla ko windi ɗo kulle tappalle no iw he leydi he tappalle enen fof en naddi tappalle e laamu he liggoroɓe laamuɗi enen nani auditor général report muɗum o en nani haalallaji kewɗi enen nana enen jiya jawɗi leydi ndi noon ɗi ñamirte en jii kadi président o immima ko loi okki président o hitan fof hitan hay siko lawol gotol o itta e jawdi leydi e arankes leydi o yiilo e leydi ndi o yewtude e ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe ko woni ko faale mumen ko woni hammeji mumen ko woni caɗele mumen o yewtude e mumen o nana ɗum o anda ko ɗum woni caɗele mumen o ɗaɓɓa feere ko hono o ñawnirta nden ñalande ɓen walla ɓe caɗɗen caɗele ɓen kono en jii président o million ji 30 ko ɗum woni ko itti ɗo yiilode leydi ndi o ɗin million ji 30 fof ko itti ɗum koye kalis meɗen ko arankes meɗen wona kalis muɗum ko kalis ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe kono on loi mo ngannduɗaa ko loi leydi o wallini ɗum fi o yewtude e ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe fof wona kulle pati kono en jii wondema haala muɗum ka fof ko kulle politique kulle politique o waɗi mbo weddo konge goɗɗi e dow opposition ne mbo weddo konge goɗɗi e ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe ganduɗa walla e kulle leñol ɗum ɗon fof en nani ɗum e nder ndi leydi ɗum ɗon fof minen coalition of progressive gambians ɓaade minen dari fii gonga no daro e leydi he enen fof poten e leydi he ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe fof ko woni ko gueɗal men enen fof mbo kala heɓa ɗum mbo kala heɓa konngol mbo kala heɓa nono haaliri ko faalako en jii wondema ha joni luwaji gonnoɗi ɗo ɗi 1997 constitution ko ɗum wonno ko ganduɗa coalition 2016 ɓe mbaɗino promise wondema si tawi laamu ɗum ɓe censi laamu ɓe mbaɗat loi mo ganduɗa ko on loi ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe fof potat on loi noon woni mboɓe beddi surde ɓe beddi ɗum toro huɗoto ay ko on loi woni mboɓe mbi on loi no artu e ɓiɓɓe leydi he Gambia hande coalition of progressive Gambians komin nangi ko Gambia woni fof enen fof ko Gambia dentuɗen enen fof poti nangude liggoɗen Gambia goɗɗo immota ko dula goɗɗo ara liggano en Gambia hande enen ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe enen poti laar ndenten si tawi noon min noddi toujours sabu ɗo min noddi ɗo ɓoyani kono si a laari komin noddi ko fi on guerew wona fi guerew fi aɗa firina ala ko guerew hollira ko foti ko wonde e leydi he walla ko watta ko fotani wonde itta ɗum e leydi he kono yimɓe leydi ɓe jaɓani funtu eyo minen noon min darani ɗum hay hande ɗo min darani yimɓe garide wula ɗum waɗi important komin darta ko kibaru komin gokkirta ko hono ɗum yettota ɓiɓɓe leydi ɓe guili e Gambia ɗo ha ko funti Gambia kala ɗo ɓiɗo leydi woni si nani ɗum anda ko ɗum woni darde amen ko min dari ko moƴƴingol leydi ndi ɓe ganduɗa ɓe beddanama carte yimɓe ɓe ganda ko kamen mbaɗi ɗumen toon wona kamɓe mbaɗi toon koye mabɓe te ko dalila waɗi ha ɓe mbaɗa toon on dalila mo ɓe mbaɗira toon ɗo on dalila ko on ɓe poti liggade ala ko ɓe poti liggo so wona on dalila kono ko hunde fof hunde enen jii hande leydi ndi ko politique taw woni e nder ndi leydi politique ñande fof ñande ala waktu ala jemma ala ñalowma kala ɗo nanɗa ko politique rek si a yeehi ha weddanama carte yeeji politique nangu yimɓe ɓe fof mbaɗani men fof ko hunde wodere ko an laami liggola ko poɗɗa ko liggade e leydi e tawa ittidirani hay goto kono politique ren ñande fof ñande politique ren ñande fof ñande politique wawani gasa leydi e leydi ndi wawani yah enen goni e tampere gurdam yimɓe ɗam no yimɓe ɓe guuritani mbo kala ɗi wulla enen ɗum jiya jawdi leydi ndi ndi yakko hay hunde ala ko waɗi hen en jii ha joni e nono laamu ɗum waɗirtani polisaɓe ɓe ha joni wiyano security reform ha joni enen jiya polisaɓe no ɓe mbaɗirtani walla tambiɓe kulle ɓiɓe leydi ɓe hono ɓe keɓirta jaam hono ɓe keɓirta sagoji mumen no ɓe liggortani ha joni wona noon ɓe poti ligganade en jii ɓoyani ɗo University of the Gambia sukaɓe janggoɓe toon ɓe kolliri mette mumen because of ko loi ɓe kollira mette mumen kono ko ɗum ɓe mbaɗi ɓe jeeyi ɓe mbaɗi ɓe tiya gas ɓe mbaɗi ɓe cakiri ɗumen no ganduɗa ɗum ɗon fof ala yadani e sarta te ɓiɗɗo leydi fof ɓiɗɗo leydi ana jogui lawol ana foti heɓ konngol punta kollira ko mettima kono joni si a mettiri joni polisaɓe gara ɓe nangama ɓe mbaɗama ko ganduɗa ɗum fotani won walla binda ɓe mbiyama ko amma binda pamit si a ɓe keɓa permission min keɓa ɗum so si a windi an goɗɗi ɓe nanen ɗon nana woɓɓe ɓe kaɗama pamit ɓe mbawata funtu ɗum ɗon fof ko luwaji ɗi ganduɗa ko 1997 constitution o adduno ɗum fi ko ɗum addiri ɗum fi wonnoɗo ɗo fi o heɓa doole o wona buur o wona lamɗo mbiɗen en guiti buur mbiɗen lamɗo ala ko suɓaɗo woni kalfinaɗo woni ko ɗum noon ko on laahi ɗi gokkiɗen kono ha joni enen jii ko laamu woni laamu noon ko gonga ko enen cuɓata ɗum oɗon te enen gokki ɗum doole enen gokki ɗum kala ko heɓata kono en jiiɗo o mum to ɗo jawdi leydi ndi ko ɓangi ɗo motoji e ɗuɓanin ala ko woni toon so wona kulle politique so minen noon coalition of progressive Gambians ɓaadi waktu o ɗi raɓɓiɗi ko heewi haalama kono en somari ɗum ɗo woni ko kalnannomi minen damuɗe amen ɗe guɗiri waktu fof waktu kala mo ganduɗa koye kulle leydi ndi gonanɗa fi jaam leydi ndi damuɗe amen ɗe guɗiri waktu fof waktu minen mbi bisimilla fi leydi ndi no yaari yeeso enen fof denten liggoɗen leydi ndi fi ɓiɓɓe meɗen fi taniraɓe meɗen fi ko aroyta janggo wiye ko ɗum gaccuɗa ɗo a barka on beltanama onon fof
ma bëgg a tënk rek ay mbir rek comme ni ko suma naataango yi waxee coalition of progressive Gambians ñun dañ ñëw pour xeex ak yelleefi askan gi dañ gis ne lañ nga xam ne loolu lañ fi ñaawlu woon démba loolu lañ gis ne loolu moo continuer di wéy loolu moo tax ñu sos lu mel nii te ñëwuñ fi pour dooleel benn political party ñëwuñ fi pour jaay agenda benn political party ku gis suñu office bi sax luñ fi binda fii mooy stop the corruption nañ bàyyi njuut njaaj te xam nañ ne jamono biñ toll nii depuis nguuri Barrow bi jël toogu benn tey gis nañ ne njuut njaaj amul benn institution bu nga xam ne jéggi na ko from the office of the president ba ci suuf amul benn bunta boo xam ne amul la njuut njaaj raalu ko ku ko weddi na nga dem ci National Audit Office report yaa ngi fa tege te implementuñ ko mu doon lu daw yaram li ma bëgg a tënk rek ñun coalition of progressive Gambian ñu ngi dooree depuis 2022 mais lañ sànca taxaw pour ñu ñëw xeex ak yelleefi askan gi askan gi lan mooy seen ak seen yelleef loolu moo ñu tax a jóg bon nag bu ñu loolu taxee jóg ñu gis réew bi ni muy demee ñu oote yéen ñëpp ngeen ñëw li gën a am solo mooy nag oote bii nii yëpp li gën a am solo du mbooloo bi comme suma naataangoo yi ni ñu ko waxee rek pour kàddu gi mu dem message bi mu dem loolu lañ bëgg te message bi li ñëpp bokk ñëpp ci am cër loolu moo tax ñuy waxee nii gis nañ li nga xam ne mooy daw ci biir réew bi fu mu nekk nii su ñu ci yëpp noppee réew bi fu muy jëm la taxoon ñu wécci la fi newoon diñ ci gisati suñ boppa moo tax ñun coalition of progressive Gambian ñu jóg ñu ne dinañ fi ñaawlu mboolem li nga xam ne moom lañ fi ñaawlu woon démba parce que lu dagantoon démba waru fee dagan tey bon nag gis nañ président bi mi di people too bi damaa tënkalu ndaw rek gis nañ président bi mi di people too bi soo gisee mu am donte constitution bi moo ko dooleel ne président yi réew bi am na doole pour dem at bu nekk mu dem wër askan gi waaye ñun dañ jàngat ne soo gisee lii ñu defoon ko jamono boobu noonu bañ koo sos jamono boobu communication dafa jafe woon demuwaay dafa jafe woon jamono boobu soo buggee dem fii ba Basse mun na laa jël ñaari fan soo ñu jël radio amutoon radio bi amoon na waaye télévision station amutoon WhatsApp amuloon yii ñoo jëfoo nii bunti xarale bi yëpp amuloon waaw ñu gis ne président bi bu moo commencé midi people too bi mu ngi fekkoon dépense bi ci juróom-benni million ba mu ko commencé ci juróom-benni million boobu noonu mu continuer ko di ko yóbbu ba fukki million ñu jógee ci fukki million bi mu yóbbu ko ba ñaar fukki million léegi mu ngi laajte fanweeri million loolu xaalis boobu am na fu bari fu mu xeec gis nañ ne nag ñun dañ jàngat ne ñii amuñ yërmande ci doomi réew bi parce que boo jëlee fanweeri million wala dem jàkkaarloo béykat yi te yaa ngi jëndee seen gerte gi ci nu leen neexee yow yaa leen di jox price yaa leen di jaay engrais ci sa price boo buggee jënd ak gerte gi yaa leen di wax nii laa koy jëndee soo gis nañ ne béykat yi doolewuñ leen ba pare gis nañ ci biir too bi itam gis nañ ci ñu ngi cee indi ay yëfi tribaliste président bi yàgg na ci lii nag te gis nga réew soo ko jiitee nga doon nga xam ne koo xam ne yaay jiiti réew bi da nga war a tëddee njaaxaan boot ñëpp emale ñëpp waaye boo toogee di xaajalee xeet dafa indi fitna ci biir réew bi te ñu am yaakaar ne lii suñ ci waxutee li moo jur si ci kanam dina doon loo xam ne kenn du xam fu moo nettale parce que réew yi ñu wër yëpp fitna fii la commencé ak di continuer di wéyal ay more than 2 term limit dafa am solo trop ci biir réew bi parce que loolu moo tax ñu soppi la fi ne woon démba tey gis nañ ne ñu ngi continuer mu faa dem ñetteeli mandat boobu mun na moo fitna te loolu rafetul ci biir réew bi li rafet ci biir réew bi mooy bañ soppee la fi demoon foogoon nañ ne suñu amee njiiti réew bi ñëw toog after 22 years of dictatorship moom waroon na moo gën a dëgëral askan gi lam digoon askan gi nag gis nañ ne nag lam musa dig askan gi yëpp daf dee fail askan gi moo tax ñun coalition of progressive Gambian duñ taay di wax bu yaagut gis ngeen jor ngeen ko fi defoon nañ fi protest May 17 daaw ren yëpp ci constitution bi May 17 ñu ngi ko jublu woon ci mbirum dundu bu seer bi ak cash power bi léegi buñ ci jógee on the 7th of November biñ jógee nii ñu ngi ne constitution bi mooy baatu réew bi mooy téere bi nga xam ne moom lañ ñu war a jiitee te téere boobu noonu gis nañ ne doomi réew bi laajte nañ leen seen kàddu doomi réew bi yëpp sànni nañ ci seen kàddu ñu nekk ci biir réew bi ak ñu nekk bitim réew ñu dépense ci lu dem ci téeméeri million ak fukk ak juróom-benn ñi leen ngee wane téeméeri million ak ñaar fukka bon nag loolu du xaalis si caaxaan ba lopitaan bi ñàkkee garab ba jàngookaay ñàkka lu ñu fayal teachers yi gis nañ sécurité bi lu ñu leen di fay gis nañ ñeen lu ñu leen di fay waaye gis nañ président bi ba mu toogee benn tey ñoom ñu ngi indi seen bopp rek ñu ngi yokk seen salary di yokk ay allowance ña nga xam ne ñoo ci gën a nekk nit ñaa ngi gën a ndóol ñun fu ñu bëgg a taxawee rek mooy coalition of progressive Gambia fu ñu taxaw rek mooy gis te lépp mu ngi jaar yoon la ñu ñaawlu woon démba gis te warta dagan tey ñun nag fii laa bëgg a tënk kàddu bi rek comme que suma naataangoo yi wax nañ lépp lu ci ne waaye bu ngay ndaw ñun coalition of progressive Gambian pétition biñ joxee November 7 ñu ngi déglu nag nguur gi lam wax ci 2020 draft constitution bi nekk na constitution boo xam ne moom daf ñu amal solo trop parce que loolu moom moo ñoo noppal parce que ñu ngi ñoo won ne di entering clauses yi fa nekk yi nga xam ne independent institutions yi dañ war a independent parce que président bi moom mooy am doole di fal di folli te kuy fal di folli dafa mel ni ku la abal bëtam rek moo laa wax fu ngay xool te gis nañ ne lii réew bi fu muy jëm fu mu nekk nii lam ñu diggoon yëpp amut te loolu fu mu nekk li muy yee fit na mun naa moo fitna parce que dëkk yu bare yi am fitna yëpp nii la commencé yow nga ñëw toog di wéyal ba pare toog di provoque askan gi te président bi ñun gis nañ ne waxam yëpp dafa provoque askan gi mboj moom moo naataango mi saa yuñ génnee suñ waxee rek dañoo mislead askan bi te loolu du yóbbu réew kanam afta buñ jógee ca fañ la fi demoon réew bi dañ ko jëlee woon ci bunta yoo xam ne ci situation yoo xam ne expecté ñu woon li xew ci biir réew bi kon nag bu waree dem nii ñu gis président bi ñun ñëpp ak président bi ñun ñoo fi newoon démba ñaawlu woon lépp la fi woon démba ñu gis tey muy doxalee nii gis ne dafaa dem ba taxaw di wax askan gi ne dina dem ñetteeli mandat loolu expecté ñu ko woon disappoint na nit ñi from day one after bu mu rombee ñetti at yi la or askan gi war na Gambien si yëpp after bu mu wéyalee ñetti at yi benn tey mu ngi war askan bi te li ci gën a métti mooy nu moo provoqué askan gi provocation bi dafa indi fitna parce que nit puusante boo gis ci malaaj la am ñuy ñaan ñi koy yedda pour muy wéyal ñetteeli mandat bi na delloo si xelam bu baax fàttaliku naka lañ ko falee woon démba parce que fàttaliku fan lañ jëlee réew bi teg ko ci loxoom freedom bi Gambien si di enjoy tey du président moo ñu ko jox Gambien seen boppa ñoom ñoo decide ñu toog ñu xeex ak yelleef bi nga xam ne moom la ñoo enjoy tey freedom bi ñu am tey benn nguur joxuñu ko parce que nguur new fi dañ ne buur yaa sa dafa jeex buur yaa dafa jeex njiit yaa moo fi ne bon na bu buur yaa jeexee njiit yaa neew fi te njiit yooyu askan gi ñoo leen di fal ñun dañ gëm ne power belongs to the people di leen di gërëm di leen di santa ci déglu bi wax neexul nag waaye nag lépp jubluwaay bi yëpp mooy jàmma ak gis lu nga xam ne moo war gis li nga xam ne loolu lañ fi ñaawlu woon démba gis ne mu jaar yoon leen di gërëm di leen sant jël wax ji nag di ko tënka di ko jox suñu technical adviser bi muy brother du Ndaw moom mu indi ci tuuti sànni ci ay kàddu brother du Ndaw.
Afternoon, everyone. I am Mr. Lau, part of the team Coalition of Progressive Gambians. We are grateful to have you all here today. As stated by the previous speakers, this is just a vote of thanks for the presence of all attendees, particularly the media fraternity. As mentioned before and over again, the media is crucial in every democracy as the fourth estate, and no action or no remedies can be made without the involvement of media. We thank you all for coming. We are very, very happy to see you all here. We're thanking our elder, our senior statesman, Dr. Baibiram Jain. Also, the colleagues who have worked tirelessly to ensure this day takes place as it is. We hope, with all the statements said, it will be taken in good faith as good citizens of this country who would like to see development for the masses, for the poor, for the vulnerable people, for people who need considerations and support. Our activities are all centered on highlighting the issues, supporting the voiceless, and should not be taken in any form as bad citizens. Anyone who supports his or her country in any form for improvement can only be labeled as patriotic. So we thank you all once again. I will hand over the mic back to Dr. Jain, who will do the final remarks before we take the questions. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I think I'll speak in English because there was a translation in Fula, Mandinka, and Wolof. Alhamdulillah, we are gathered again today, as have been pronounced, to give for this press conference to give details of what has been going on with the organization. Much has been said, and actually I can't add anything more, but just to praise the organizers, the executive committee that's going forward with the agenda to make sure that this country is on track. When I say on track, I mean development, as we have focused from 2016. I can only say it's really unfortunate that the leadership that has been put in place, that we currently having, that came to govern us because the whole country has voted them in with one agenda, regime change, because the regime that was in place was dictatorial. Needless to say, I'm sure many Gambians are aware that the current government hasn't done anything of what it was expected to do. The draft constitution, the 2020 draft constitution, all the reforms, security reform, and all the commissions, Daniel Commission, TRRC, to be honest, nothing that was expected has been achieved. It's really unfortunate. This is why I give full support to this organization and all those who are calling for system change. It's been too long since independence that the status quo has been maintained. I can understand, really, I can understand how, after being under colonial rule for 300 years, the British leaving this country, asked Sir Dawda, the then president and his government, to continue the status quo, continue what I have, or what they have, the British government, asked or implemented during that time. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all that the Jamaican government continue the same thing and the Barrow government is doing the same thing. It doesn't make sense. I've said it many times, and I may not repeat it. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? That's the question. We Africans. Now, this is a broader picture of Africa, not only Gambia. What's wrong with us? Why can't we take the bull by the horns and change? I have said this before. We are the only people, when I say we are Africans, when I say we, I mean Africans. We are the only people that have gone through slavery and colonialism of this nature that we've endured. It's unfortunate that our leaders have not seen, are not seeing and will not see because they are blind. They are confused and blind. I say that. They are confused and blind to what needs to be done to pull us up and we have progress in this country. That being said, I just have to reiterate my full support to to the coalition of progressive Gambians for the agenda that they have in place. There's no doubt that it's these organizations that we need, and I hope with the collaboration with other organizations such as Coalition for System Change, such as Positive Gambia, such as other organizations that are in the forefront of having Gambia go through a system change that we need in this country. I can't overemphasize how this meeting is important. As they've already been alluded to, it's not the numbers that are present, it's the availability of the media. So you people in the media have to do the job. Yes, we are. The organization is doing its job, but you have the means to make sure every Gambian, and we can, because now every Gambian has a mobile, almost. And I say every, I mean adult Gambians. You always have, almost every adult Gambian has a mobile phone. And with your help and your commitment for this country to go forward, we definitely will succeed. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question. Anyway, it's less than a month, or almost a month, since we submitted that petition. We know they are working on it, and now that the minister himself is, we know, he's politically appointed. He's on a tour with the president. We know he has no time for his office as of now. We are very hopeful and optimistic that sooner or later, because we'll say before the end of the year, we should hear something from them. For the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, we want to engage them. We have not yet met with them. They are yet to give us an appointment where we meet them and raise our concerns or tell them what we want or expect of them. Thank you. Anyway, as we have just mentioned, we know what is in for the 2024 amended. I will not call it a constitution because it's amended something of Barrow. We know Gambians are not in for it. This is why I think I just mentioned that we want to meet with the Standing Committee, because we know if that goes into the House or any other way like referendum, it will not work. We know that. And that means we're returning to the 1997 Constitution. So when we meet with this Standing Committee on Constitutional Matters and Human Rights, we have something to tell them. That is, we always very, very much particular with these entrance clauses, which call for the independence of these institutions that we feel are very good for credible democracy and good governance. So we want to make sure those entrance clauses are included. Even if they have to go in 2024, these entrance clauses must be included. And we feel if these entrance clauses are included, we'll engage these stakeholders as the political parties, and they will see reason. Because once the entrance clauses are in, we feel it's credible too. Because the entrance clauses are the problem. These are the ones they've removed. Yeah, and who knows where, as my colleague is saying, we will go around and maybe make consultation from the public. Try to teach them, tell them about, because that's what we are doing. Like our technical advisor, Mr. Now, is very conversant with the Constitution. So he is doing the strategy to see what is best to be discussed with this Standing Committee. So that when we discuss with them, we are optimistic that if we engage the political parties and all stakeholders, we'll come up with something rather than getting back to this 1997 Constitution. Thank you. Is to engage them on a reasonable chat to make sure because those demands are open. The TRRC recommendations, the Janet Commission's recommendations, this is what we are talking about. And all governments are still hoping for that. We still want that to happen. We want to see the recommendations of the TRRC being implemented. We want to see the recommendations of the Janet Commission being, in fact, some of them have been implemented, like the assets of the IJAME, former president. So it is being, we have a lot. The AKI, acute kidney injuries of those, it's all going to the courts. We've seen some move. But that was not all, because we feel that they are dragging feet in trying to implement them. But we are still pushing. We're still pushing to make sure they implement them, because all is about, with the Minister of Justice about to implement those recommendations. But with the trade, it's about to bring down the price of commodities. But all their excuses are Ukraine war, COVID. We know this is all what they are telling us. So we are still pushing. We are working tirelessly. We will make sure and we will continue to put pressure. That's why we are a pressure group. We continue to put pressure to make sure these things are implemented because it affects all of us. Who knows? Maybe that's why they are thinking of even salary increment, which is just a pinch of salt, which is not helping. What is important is bring down the price of commodities so that every Gambian can at least enjoy a quality standard of living. This is always the norm. When you pressure on things that are critical and very credible, they must associate you with things that will put a notion in the minds of Gambians, just to make sure Gambians don't even listen to you or take you seriously. We know they will associate us with UDP. I'm not. I contested as a councillor in Kanifing. I was always an independent candidate since 2013. And Ibu Ajami was here as an independent candidate. I've always been liberal because I believe in my own ideas. So here we have people from different parties. So why are they very particular about UDP as if UDP is a threat to them? Maybe the threat is UDP, that's why they always associate us with UDP. But we are not. We are not being supported by any party. We are a group of Gambians coming from, and it is natural for us to be affiliated with parties. That's natural. Every Gambian is affiliated to a party. But that doesn't mean, even the civil service, you go to the civil, if you were to see what is in their hearts, you would have seen different parties. But they are still working on one goal, to see Gambia through. And that's what the Coalition of Progressive Gambians is doing. We want to see Gambia through, irrespective of our party affiliation. So party is not important. When we come with credible things, credible reasons for them to look into, they always associate us with opposition. These are opposition. These are just to cloud Gambian minds, not to listen to us and take us serious. This is what I've seen with them. Thank you.
Comme ya fanya do ñin November protest mbora minna manke protest follow mi yalon ko ñin ka fo yake de danaka jama bi ka fundi lafta min senen la banku no wala ndiko protest o ñimbe luwale kono banko mara kitabo le sontala ko banku no le ñanto stole ni e kuje min silo man ta ka fundi bari mi ya sabu silenda ka tar banku no ka aya sabu bi ka fundi wo mun ka min le ko kamma min ka ne mo ka fundi wala di authorities jan ni ko protest do e kamin folo ni ga wala fale pamito stole ba jamen ko ni ka ndu bari o pamito min ka ni ka bari abije ko ite banku dingo nga nyanto stole mara kitabo baydi banko mara kitabo bala woko ite banku dingo nyanto stole pour ka fundi kele la fi bala tandi kula mo bi ka jeje de wo bi jele, and it is part of the constitution mi banku dingo semen right to protest or right to peaceful assembly. But niko protest aka bankuru maslang ikenyi ni ka fo pamito stole wala sabu gamben ko nyanda wakil kaje ko kakafunyo kan ka banko je ko loi kolon ani loi kurun min ko nge konnu njan sanyi mo anim fula hansa ibe exist kan nyimban ko kan mi ya sab hansa abe bankuru kada kan nyanda je kaje ko wole bo madama wole mambo gamben ko do continuer le katara ni system ko no bari ininte be min konnu kunu inata la hidol kanko ibe falindiro kala wala miyen tol kala no sanji monni fula be son dal ko wali en kadale because ni ko 1997 mal kitabo falindiro ketala nidia kan mi si nyata lulsi a manke banku dum wala interest aketa min kam wala pour que banku dum kada ni ngaje still after 8 years a balva warta amalo warta ninde ngamo gamme government ka quotation ko ka fogo section nangam in the 1997 constitution akan malu and it's the same, and I ain't taking malo the Gambian call bay. After all, nga ming do no minta, nga sacrifice means minke kaya could make change in 2017 or 2016. Abalva warda. Ya understand? Nina sabun every protest ndeka avumole go. Ntola protest ntoka succeed. Ask coalition progressive government because me min chodi kan ngamin fo war is not bojan kunda, nada cham kunda ombalo kunda. Gambe kula. So ninga Gambian call commanding ko alna nga fundi nyina bandete kam. B, ni tala Marcel bi ka fa ibe opposition party ka den kamano wa fu nyinel. The highest cost of living way gam ndole fundi ni jande. It is part of our 9-point demand. But B, Gambian ko bebe kumbole mano da ko la. Nawek la tariff B, from water to electricity, Gambian ko bebe kumboka. Julo jele be Gambe as a Gambian ko banku dingol as a government, control government, me yalongo, me Senelex me yalongo, they are supplying Gambia with electricity, Julomi Manku, need him. But the burden is Abajuale kan, Ndolf Warol. It can until me na started in the Tundul can Kabuloko Sen Kandon Kaveko, Ntolo Mbala Janedron. There's a million tons of it could jar meet the people's store. There's a million tons and Lule Dunakunda. But I can impact like Gabina. So Abe Kumala, Gambian Kola Nimbanko Yogo, Minika for Alnanga Funti, Ibika Foko, Ikake Ekumele. Wala sam tolka yego mini fundita wala nyimba nkola shuloso non tolbika yego is a failure ni molma fundi madama the executive minga organization ka fon lot of protest like ni wala ka fundi ni wala ma fundi you call it a failure but ni wala fundita to make the day success or to make so ko ka yego lungo nyi ya min fo koy ya min kankula radio interview min beke I fundita wo it means ko banko dungol le fan jamfa kuto mi yalla ko be dentala so gambe ko yenta nyilo ko mode jila na santo bar banko alhaalo taka nyame gambel sini taka fone audio ngo gambel sini samobe maslamba dato natara mimbe kerim bi wolbe continuel ngamin konnum kunun nga kondem nimbi nimmin be ya konnum kunun wolle be in power being wolle ke je entrust with the authorities la wolle ngaaje kunun kuoli ko wolle ke kunun barol ko wolle ke gamben ko bebe de mobe mituring it is so sad aka min tandina wonti ko mbe murunas back to dictatorship because mimi yolante ko molta hanila nim minketa ima challenge masakunda wala dictator bika wulu president bika na dictator di ake suma kula ida action do wala kuma kawdo na wakto long that's the time aka mol mara so gamben ko nyanda nyi miro so ko mini ka kumandro ke kafa alna ikake banko ko kama o banko mi ko be dentala ni ta sidele so hono yamina ko you are comfortable tell tini sukuro be solani wala ko bandalo solani yamina ko imante dabula bankol ko ibe fan ne kan the political impasse in 2017 is a indication way gambe ko be karanle mol be banko kan jamina ko be capital be silante dimbal ka funyo kam way jumal kar woto banko nyande tar kayro ko baba tar kayro ko banko dole batna tar kayro ko ban kana song ndun nana ta sonna gambe ko le muru bakto dictatorship gambe ko kala so wala abal fa warta bakare protest me ya lon ko banque du ka commande di never tarif ntolma organize but group comme ça bo la commande ntol ntaraje because you know ngaje ko yeb min commande ka min fo way banko bel affaire bi tarif bo nyaade ni ke message ke jele di la ha abal fa war everybody is come but mo bebe tarastiri la bobu ko nyoto marché dalto official do be dukuru la banko ko la banko ko ni ko min batina bonni kan gambe ko will all sit na sol ko that will not solve our problem.
No. Similar.
اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد